So just what is a mixed playback and how can you be best prepared for your first? We're talking mixed playbacks in today's episode. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Mastering Postproduction Sound. My name is Joel. I am your host. Welcome. Today we're going to be discussing mixed playbacks. And if you've never experienced a playback with clients, today I'm going to tell you a few tips, things to watch out for, things to make sure you do so you're not caught off guard your very first mixed playback. Let's talk really quickly. What is a mixed playback? Well, a mixed playback is exactly what it sounds. It's a playback of your mix. Usually in TV, you're playing back the episode for your associate producer or your executive, your showrunners. You're letting them experience the awesome sound mix that you have created. This is how that's going to go down. If you've never experienced this is how it goes. You're going to sit down and you're going to have your backfield of producers, maybe the picture editors there, a couple other people, maybe a writer, whatnot. You're going to play back the episode for them. Everyone's going to take notes, and then you're going to go ahead and adjust and take care of those notes for them. But if you've never sat in one, you just don't know what to expect. I remember I had to learn by just being there and experience it. I was like, oh, wow. First of all, a lot of nerves, right? Because you're sitting there, you're like, very quiet. What do I do? And you just take the lead. At the time, I was mixing with a partner, and he took the lead. He was the lead mixer. And so I learned a lot of things over the past 16 years just being here in the mixed trenches, being here, experiencing it firsthand. So I'm going to break down. I have a couple notes here. I'm going to tell you a few things you need to know. You need to know these things before you sit down for your first playback. And hopefully by sharing them, you're a little bit more prepared. So the first thing that you always want to make sure you're doing is that you have a notepad and pen, something to write with. Always have a notepad. I was gonna grab one, but here's one right here. Notepad. I had to get a notepad here, so pardon the edit. Always have a notepad and a pen. That's the first thing, because let me tell you, your responsibility is to make sure that you have all the notes written down. You don't want to forget what somebody said. Like, hey, I can't hear that dialogue. Can you turn it up? Always write it down. So make sure you have a notepad or a pen. Some people prefer typing notes. I will say that I've developed a system for a couple of our shows and clients where I like to type the notes. Everybody will tell the notes when it's note session time, and I'll type them out and print them out. So that's like next level kind of stuff. But make sure, first and foremost, always have a notepad and something to write with. The next thing is use the restroom before playback. When you get into your playback, you're sitting down. And if it's a TV show, you're sitting down for at least, if you're a half-hour show, 23 minutes, an hour show, 42 minutes, a true hour, it could be, 58 minutes to over an hour. So you do not want to interrupt anybody. Imagine we're in a stage like this, the lights are low, everyone's quiet, they're listening to the awesome work you have prepared, and then you got to get up and go to the restroom. Don't do that. Don't do that. Have I done it before? Yes, I have, and it makes you feel so awkward. It's like, I should have went before. Always use the restroom beforehand. Trust me, around 38 minutes when you really got to go, you're going to thank me for doing that ahead of time. The next thing is make sure that you put your phone on silent. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb, because the last thing you want is your phone to go off during a really quiet scene. Everybody's going to be distracted. And trust me, it's happened before. I've seen it happen to other people. But I will probably say with full confidence, I don't think it's ever happened to me. I think that comes from my musician days, because back when I was a musician, I would do session playing. I was always, in the recording studio. I was trained to have my phone off. Never have it on. Make sure your phone is on silent. Trust me. Another thing that I would suggest is grab something to drink. So if you're a water drinker, make sure you have some water. If you'd like to have some coffee, I love to have coffee before playback. I always get my cup of coffee before, because oftentimes for what I've been doing, our playbacks are in the afternoon or sometimes in the evening, and I'm tired. I need a cup of coffee to have with me just to keep me up. Maybe if you're not a coffee person, grab a cup of tea, grab something to drink just to have so that you're not doing this You don't want to nod off. So grab coffee, tea, or some water, something to have so you can drink. Another thing you want to remember before you start your playback is to make sure that you've armed your recorder. Make sure that you've armed all the tracks and that everything's working so that when you do hit play, you can hit record too, so you have a recording already. You're already watching it down with your clients, so why not lay down the stems? Why not lay down your tracks so that you have the recording? Then when you go into do notes, it makes it so much easier for you just to update the stems as you go. So make sure your recorder is always primed, it's ready to rock and roll, so you can hit that red light and light it up. Okay, here's a fun one. I have it written down, no time code, no note. When you're doing a playback, you're watching the screen and you have a time code burn in, okay? I say no time code, no note. It's a joke because we tell the clients, hey, make sure that you write down the time code. It's going to be up there, in the time code, window burn in. But make sure that you're writing down your time codes, because the last thing you want to do is be like, where's that spot? Just always take a glance, okay? Take a glance. It's up there for a reason. So take the time code, and then also, make sure your clients know. Communicate to them that, hey, try to do your best to get the time code or the footage, if you're working in reels for film, so that we know where to go. Because the last thing you want to do is be like, yeah, that one section where this and that. Usually the picture editor knows. Picture editor has got that timeline memorized. But it's always important. Write the time code down. We have it there for a reason. Okay, so the next one, do not try to mix on the fly. Now, let me tell you, I've done this before and I've gotten away with it, but there are nightmare stories, and the last thing you want to do is stop your Pro Tools or your computer during a playback. So do not try to grab faders, because you're going to grab the wrong one and it's going to be raging, or you're going to hit a memory locate, and try to go to other tracks and you're going to accidentally hit stop. I say, just let it go. Let it play. Has it happened before? Yes. Yes. And I have high confidence. Yes, I need to grab that. Oh, shoot, forgot that. I just lowered that. But trust me, from experience, just try to let it be. Don't try to mix while you go. I understand there's temptation to do it. And if you have to do it, make sure you're fully confident that you're not going to lower any other tracks or mess something up by stopping your playback. But try to avoid mixing while you play back if you can. And a very important one, stay quiet. Shh. The last thing anybody wants on a stage is somebody chitter-chatting in the corner. I've been in those situations where people in the back are talking, and you know what happens? You get this. Like, who's talking? So, shh. It's playback time. We must be quiet. Stay quiet. Here's a very important one. Write all the notes down. So when you are done with your playback and you're presenting your work, we're going to sit there. We're going to have our notepad. And my suggestion is to write every single one down. Write, hey, there's a dialogue note. Okay, I'm going to write the dialogue note. Okay, I'm going to write the effects note. Okay, write that down. Write a music note. Okay, the last thing you want to do is just kind of talk about it and not write it down. If you're mixing by yourself, right, you got too much to worry about. Make sure you're writing it down. You try to remember here, your mind's gonna fail you. Trust me. If you're working in a two-person mix situation, like I do very, 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 often, I always write down the other notes. So if I'm mixing sound effects, I write down the dialogue note. I write down the music note, because when we come to time to do our fixes, I can follow along, and I can also be like, oh yeah, shoot, we forgot this note. They meant actually this because I wrote it down. And my partner might be like, whoa, what's this note? What did you have written down? I got my notes. So it's this. So always write it down. That's my suggestion. It's been so beneficial. And plus, when you have all the notes, you can kind of map out when you need to go use the restroom, because there's a lot of dialogue notes or music notes, or if you're mixing dialogue and music, there's a lot of effects notes, when you can go use the restroom. Okay, so next, we have a saying on our mix stage, no note left behind. So if somebody has a note when we're going through our note session and they forgot to say, oh, actually, get the note from them. Even though we didn't write it down, let's get it, because we don't want anybody to leave our mix stages and our playbacks without having the opportunity to give their input. Their input's important. Sometimes they might be shy and they might be like kind of nervous to like, oh, we already passed this section. I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to look dumb. I'm not going to say anything. No. If you feel that one of your clients or somebody in the room had a get the note from them. Maybe that they may be a little shy, but we don't leave any notes behind. No note left behind. Remember that one. And last but not least, be open and flexible. When you have a playback and it's time to do your notes and you're discussing these things, I'm going to be the first one to admit that sometimes I have disagreed with clients and maybe I had a different idea of what I thought something should sound like or something I should do. So my suggestion is just to be open. When you have a good attitude, remember, this is a very collaborative art form. Take the feedback. Be open to it. You're going to create a wonderful experience for your clients if they leave your playback saying, you know what, it was so easy to work with those people. I gave a note and they took it, they tried it. Maybe they didn't like, at first they were like, but they did it. And look, we discovered something. That's the thing. You have no idea. You may discover that by listening to somebody else and their perspective, you could change just a little thing and it might take you to a whole nother place with your mix. So be open, be flexible. As mixers, I will say that oftentimes we let ego get in the way. Like I'm at fault. I've done that before, but I try to learn from those attitude mistakes in the past. Being open to feedback is so empowering. It's so powerful. And on top of that, it allows creativity to flow on our mix stages. So be open to the feedback. Be open to the suggestions and the notes. Last thing I want to do is to make our client feel like we're not open to that, and then they walk away saying, you know what, that was kind of awkward. I don't think I ever want to work with that person again. So be open to feedback. And you can't forget to just have fun. Have fun sitting down for a playback. I love it because it's such an opportunity to finally show our clients the hard work that we put into these episodes or into our films. And there's so much fun. There's like a little rush right before, but just have fun. It's a wonderful experience when you get to sit down with your clients or with a room full of people who are screening it for the first time. You get to share your work and share the vision of your filmmakers. It's so special. So enjoy the time. I hope these help you. These are all things that I have thought about when I sit there and have playbacks that I hope that you can now take and learn from. And if you're watching this and you have your own suggestions, leave them in the comments below. They help all of us. We're here to all grow. And if you have a question, by all means, please leave it in the comments below. I want to thank you for watching another episode of Mastering Postproduction Sound. If you're new here, please click the subscribe channel or the button thing, you know what that is, and click the notification bell, all those wonderful YouTube-y things. But I'm just so happy you are here. Thank you for taking time for listening to me. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next episode or over here in one of these episodes.